Ross Bolen Podcast.
You better listen.
Brought to you by
Welcome to episode 260 of the Ross Bolen Podcast, otherwise known as RBP 260, presented by Bolen Media. I am your host, of course, Ross Bolen, and today we have all manner of things to discuss and cover together, just me and you, for episode 260. Our show here, the Ross Bolen Podcast, if you are new, is absolutely based in comedy, humor, and laughs, but we are also what you might define as a lifestyle podcast. We tackle mental health, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, addiction, family issues, relationship issues. Our community of listeners, the RBP gang, with a base of young adults between 18 and 24, but we also reach people from 17 to 70 and everywhere in between. It's a supportive community of people just trying to make it through life one day at a time, improving ourselves, others, and the world around us as we go. We talk about animals a lot. We're a big-time animal podcast, but also obscure history and such in the form of our recurring segment, Stuff to Wikipedia When You're High. We discuss pop culture in the form of famous people we want to fight, current events in the form of insane headlines of the day, and so much more, with many more recurring segments along the way. One episode to the next may be drastically different, but they all share the same goal: to get you through your work day, your school day, your whatever day in a slightly better way. Speaking of which, RBP 260 is also brought to you by Leesa, makers of the most comfortable mattresses in the entire universe. Your mattress is the most important purchase you'll ever make for your home, whether you're grinding in a studio apartment or you've got a 4-bedroom with a full family and 2 kids or some shit. Having a fantastic bed for your body and mind to rest every night is paramount. Leesa knows how important rest is to a better life. Leesa is the foundation of a healthier, happier you. And to Leesa, a bed is more than just a place to sleep. It's a place for relaxation and rest. I've been sleeping on their hybrid, their most advanced luxury hybrid mattress, made with premium foams and springs for enhanced pressure relief with edge-to-edge support for a few years now. The most comfortable bed I've ever laid eyes or body on. I love it, love it, love it. Couldn't more highly recommend it. Talk up Leesa to every single person I know and have since the day I first got that mattress. Leesa believes all people should have access to deep rest and relaxation, and as such, they make it easy for their customers to know they've made the right choice through their social impact initiatives tied to each purchase. They donate 1 mattress for every 10 they sell through organizations that work in causes like foster care prevention. To date, having donated more than 33,000 mattresses through more than 1,000 nonprofits. Leesa mattresses are made in the USA. In-home delivery and setup is available. Financing is also available. Do not miss out. RBP gang, live healthier, live happier by resting deeper. Order today, and you'll get 15% off any mattress for a limited time at leesa.com/RBP. Use the promo code RBP. That's LEESA.com/RBP, promo code RBP. Keep in mind you also get a 100-night risk-free trial plus free shipping and returns. If you're new to our show, the Ross Bolen Podcast, almost every episode is going to be broken down into segments, which you can find with time cues below in the description, as is the case with this very episode. Now, some episodes may have a special guest or a special topic and be an exception to that rule, be less segmented, but typically the idea is we segment the show, we segment the podcast, we timestamp all the different topics so you can consume at your own pace based on your work or school or whatever schedule rules your life. And you don't have to have heard or listened to a single one of the preceding 259 episodes of RBP in order to enjoy episode 260. But if you like today's show, hey, you got 259 episodes to get caught up on. So go back, hit the backlog, soak them up when you've got the time. Some announcements. First off, happy birthday, happy 19th birthday to Michael Pasco, coming up in a few days. Happy birthday to Katie? I don't know. Kadee. How do you say that? No idea. It was January 13th. Happy birthday from Kelsey. Big birthday shouts. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or on SoundCloud, there's something you should know. you could have watched on YouTube. YouTube.com/Bolen Media now hosts every episode of RBP in full video form for you to take in with your eyeballs, not just your ear holes. You see, YouTube.com/Bolen Media. We also often do live recordings of our podcast on Twitch.com or Twitch.tv/BossBolen, BossRolen. Either one works. Today's show, not live on Twitch. Just so happens scheduling got a little jacked up this week, but usually live on Twitch. We also stream on Twitch almost nightly, playing Apex Legends with members of the RBP gang, our listenership. It is an incredible amount of fun. Huge fan of Twitch and everything that it brings to the table, but also youtube.com/Bolen Media. Full video. Check it out. Watch the show. Don't just listen. Big time Bolen Media announcement. FAMF. Freeze all motor functions. If you watch Westworld on HBO, season 3 is coming. Well, Jared Borislow and I, one of the co-hosts that you're familiar with on RBP, we started a Westworld podcast a few years back. Turns out Jared found a way to exit our former company with that Westworld podcast's IP, which is now we are in the process of transferring over to Bolen Media, and we are going to be bringing you Freeze All Motor Functions for the entirety of Season 3 of Westworld. Very excited to break down each and every episode with Jared. For those of you who are not Freeze All Motor Functions listeners from the past, Jared does a phenomenal job of making sure that we leave each podcast understanding what actually happened on one of the more confusing TV shows I've ever seen. I typically go in knowing little to nothing about what happened and leave feeling much better, which is how it works for the listenership as well. I'm essentially one of y'all on this one. Jared runs the show. Freeze All Motor Functions is phenomenal. We're very excited to bring it back to you. Also, our television, by the way, March 14th is the Season 3 premiere of Westworld. So you've got time to listen or watch the first 2 seasons if you really want to jump in on Season 3 with us on Freeze All Motor Functions. Our television and film podcast for all things not Westworld remains Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, where we are currently tackling HBO's The Outsider, as well as Curb Your Enthusiasm's 10th season, which just premiered and was fucking unbelievably funny. We just wrapped coverage of Netflix's The Witcher Season 1. We did 1917 for our January movie club. We're doing The Talented Mr. Ripley tonight as a throwback movie club this month as well. Tons of great OCC viewing so far for all the binge watchers and listeners out there. Some more announcements. Bobby Fino, formerly known as Arian Foster, former Texans running back. Great. He was our guest on RBP 260, if you've never heard the episode with Arian Foster, a.k.a. Bobby Fino. One of my favorites that we've ever done. He was the first big, celebrity or famous person to come on this show ever, which is a really big deal to me. And as a result, I like to support him as much as I can. He's got shows in Houston, Dallas, and Austin these next 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Catch one if you can. I will be at the Saturday show in Austin. If you're there, say hi. A Texas State University alumnus named Alyssa apparently designed the Popeyes chicken sandwich bag, which is neat. This may be the greatest Texas State accomplishment to date, more so than the total frat move New York Times bestseller that some genius wrote. I can't believe this. Apparently she has designed multiple fast food bags. Like, this is her bag, baby. Eat 'em up cats. Shouts to Alyssa for being a part of the Popeyes experience, a huge part. She might have done both bags, by the way. Spicy and regular chicken sandwich. In other news, the Pit of Doom, otherwise known as the Berkeley Pit, that we discussed on RBP 254 as our stuff to Wikipedia when you're high, it's actually being pumped and treated now to prevent it reaching a critical level. And they made a big-ass air cannon to scare away birds, migrating birds. Shouts to Damon Taylor on Instagram for the tip. Follow our show on Instagram, speaking of which, at the Ross Bolen Podcast, where every day we fill up our story with photos and videos sent in by our listenership, affectionately known as the RBP Gang. We're also on Twitter, at Ross Bolen Pod. You can find us on Facebook if you're the middle-aged aunt of one of our listeners. Social media is a great place to get announcements about new episodes, changes in perhaps our content schedule, new video, or whatever. Follow us on social to stay all the way caught up with the show. Some amends. We have a new intern, Natalie, our fact-checking intern. And she provided me with some amends from episode 259, RBP 259. She's going to be going through each episode after the fact, giving us relatable tidbits of information to things we discussed, but also providing us with all the amends for mistakes that we made, which, as we know, through 260 episodes of this show, it's quite a few per episode. So, turns out polo is spread through feces, not cuts, AJ. Also, you need a hunting license in Texas to kill ground squirrels. Also, squirrels sleep 16 hours per day, 60% of the day. They aren't always out and about wreaking havoc on moms in the suburbs and on my dogs in my backyard, turns out. These fuckers are lazy. 16 hours a day. Does it turn out squirrels are living the dream? The rest of us are just pawns in their game? Their brains are the size of walnuts, by the way. Also, zoophilia is very different than furryism. So like the squirrel tail down the throat thing, we the hypothetical we discussed in episode 259, we want to apologize to the furry community. Apparently that would be a zoophilia type of deal, not a furry type of deal. Also, huge furry news later in the show. We're a furry podcast now. I don't know how this happened, or how any of this happens, really. PETA actually did, PETA, the animal people, they did an anti-Mario, like Mario and Luigi, campaign back in 2011 because of his famous Tanuki suit, which I have to imagine is the one with the raccoon tail on it, right? Google is about to provide me with the fucking answer. I think so. Yep, it's the raccoon. The fully fledged raccoon with just the Mario face popping out. PETA, of course, jumped on that. I have no idea what that was relative to us discussing in RBP 259. I just read the things I'm given. The Llano River is 65 miles northwest of Austin and 102 miles north of San Antonio. President Abraham Lincoln did not enjoy retirement. Richard Nixon did not enjoy impeachment. The population of China is 1.427 billion. It's time to start our show. First segment.
And now, Ross Bolen's Animal of the Week.
Oh, yeah. Our animal of the week this week, the Indian giant squirrel. We're a squirrel podcast lately, FYI. It has been called an exotic rainbow rodent, which is ironically what the kids called me in middle school. Pull up photos of the Indian giant squirrel on the Google machine right now. You know how this segment works. Animal of the week. Every time we do an animal of the week, you should pull out your iPhone. Hopefully you have an iPhone. Droid freaks, and you type in the name of the animal, in this case, the Indian giant squirrel, and you look at the beautiful photos under the images tab as I speak to you about this woodland critter and get you learnt. It looks like a squirrel that has escaped from a Dr. Seuss book and now lives in our realm, probably tormenting the Indian people as the squirrels here in America torment me. You may be asking yourself, how giant is a giant squirrel? I'll be honest with you, I was disappointed when I looked this part up. It says it's one of the largest squirrels, the Indian giant squirrel, with a head and body length. Who the fuck uses that phrase, by the way? A head and body length. Is it how tall it is? Just say how long it is. A head and body length, 10 inches to 1 foot 8 inches. A tail that is about the same or somewhat longer, and a weight of like 3.5 to 4.5 pounds, basically, which to me does not seem that giant. Like, that's like the squirrels in my backyard. There's nothing giant about this squirrel. They should have named it the Indian rainbow squirrel because it's legitimately rainbow colored. It's not giant. Poor naming. Whoever did that, I'm going to, let's just put it on Darwin. Let's say it was Darwin, even though this is nowhere near where he was discovering animals. The squirrel's fur coat contains oranges, shades of magenta, purple. I mean, it's one of the more beautiful, colorful animals I've ever seen. The problem is, it's a fucking squirrel. What are you going to do with that? It's not a parrot. You can't put it in a cage and teach it to speak. It's a fucking squirrel. What other colorful animals do you make as pets? Not a squirrel. I know that. The entire color spectrum is contained in their backs. The entire color spectrum. Literally the rainbow. And they differ from all other squirrels in one particular way. You know how squirrels will be up? Well, I know. I'll tell you. They're in my backyard right now as we speak because I'm not home. They're to protect the backyard. Keep a fucking eye on them. They're in the backyard, and what they do is thousands of acorns fall from this tree in my backyard, and they get knocked from the tree, and there's rain, and there's wind. Shit hits the ground. Those squirrels run around the backyard. They find acorns, and they either munch them up into a million little pieces so that my dogs can eat the pieces, and that they can eat the pieces too, or they bury them shits all over the yard. Tiny holes, go around, dig a little hole, fucking bury an acorn, cover the hole up, run to another place. And they do this all day, every day, until my dogs come out and disturb the peace, and they all run up in the trees and around the fences and jumping. And then later when the dogs go back inside, they come out and they continue their business. These squirrels, these Indian giant squirrels, they don't fuck with that. They're much smarter. They put their caches of food in the trees, up in the trees. Keep them safe up there so the dogs can't get it. The Indian dogs also have beef with the squirrels, just like here in America, I've been told, allegedly. They store it in the treetops instead of storing it underground. So they got all this, by the way, they eat fruit, flowers, nuts, tree bark. Some of them, some subspecies of the giant squirrel are apparently omnivorous. They snack on insects and even bird eggs. That's fucked up. Can you imagine a giant rainbow squirrel eating a bird egg? Depressing. But yeah, they're an upper canopy dwelling species. You've heard of species like this, like in the rainforest or whatever, that don't come down from the upper canopy because that's where they're safe. This is a rainbow squirrel that does that in India. What a pussy. Also, I never leave my home, so not sure why I'm talking shit. These giant squirrels make their nests on nooks of thinner branches or in tree holes up in these trees. It's kind of like the size of an eagle's nest. You know, they build them with twigs and leaves and shit. Sometimes an individual squirrel or a pair of squirrels will have more than one nest in an area of a forest, which is on some rich squirrel shit. You really need a second nest, bro? Why not share the wealth with some of the other less fortunate squirrels? Where is the Bernie Sanders squirrel when you need him? That is my question. Instead of descending down to the bottom when they, out of the trees when they sense danger, they actually flatten themselves against tree branches to appear to be part of the tree, which is incredible. So you got like a fucking leopard. These are their predators. Leopards, other big cats, snakes, large birds of prey. You see one of these coming at you. You flatten yourself against the tree. This is exactly how I handle predators. I smush myself up against a wall. I blend in like Buster Bluth. You can always tell a Milford man. By the way, this giant squirrel, as of January 2016, the IUCN Red List, it's the organization that's in charge of making sure how many animals are there of each species. But I've always wondered how this works, by the way. It's like 1,000 people working at this place, IUCN, and it's their responsibility to go around counting, giant squirrels in India or whatever. Like, how the fuck do they know? How many people on this planet have dedicated their lives to counting squirrels or other animals? It seems like a lot. Like, that's a job. We're trying to keep track of all these endangered species, one of which is apparently, or at least threatened. What does it say? Oh, never mind. The squirrels' numbers are decreasing, but they remain of, quote, least concern on the organization's scale. They're in no imminent danger. We got plenty of rainbow squirrels running around India, torturing the Indian people in their backyards, digging up acorns and harassing their pets. Just like here in America. We're all the same. RBP 260 is also brought to you by Away. Away creates thoughtful products built for the way modern travelers see the world. They started with the perfect suitcase. Now they offer a range of essentials, all of which will make your travels more seamless. It's the greatest luggage on earth. I've been rocking with Away for a couple years now, and my God, do I love their stuff. It's just incredibly well-designed luggage, and I honestly was blessed enough in this life to have good luggage before, or what I thought was good luggage before. My mother-in-law had gifted me luggage like several Christmases in a row. But then I got my Away suitcase, and everything she had given me became completely fucking useless because this is so much better. Every feature helps me keep everything more organized. The wheels don't stick. It's got the laundry bag for dirty clothes, a built-in lock that the TSA won't question. Wink, wink. The way this suitcase is constructed really solves for all the little headaches that you've learned to live with when you travel. Even the fucking, the one that bothers me the most, my phone dying and never being able to find a goddamn charger in an airport. Every fucking pole you go up to with a plug in it, you plug your thing and it doesn't even work. What have airports been doing? There's no electricians that work airports. Guess what? Your Away suitcase will charge your goddamn phone for you. How cool is that? Yeah! These things are the best. I'm serious. It's constructed to solve all of the problems that you've ever had with travel. Everyone has a unique travel style, which is why Away offers a range of suitcases made from different materials. They got polycarbonate, aluminum, durable nylon. They got all variety of colors, 2 carry-on sizes. You got to hit the website. Check it out, awaytravel.com/Ross, AWAY travel.com/Ross. Every suitcase comes with an interior organization system that includes a built-in compression pad to help you pack in more. If you've never had one of these, it is going to blow your mind. It's got a hidden removable laundry bag, 360-degree spinner wheels, guaranteed the smoothest roll even through the most hectic of airports and stations. TSA-approved combination lock keeps your belongings safe. To get your suitcase and shop other essentials, go to visitawaytravel.com/Ross. Visit awaytravel.com/Ross. AWAYtravel.com/ROSS. Next segment. Insane headlines of the day. Oh no. Actually, oh yes. These are very, very good. Number one, first, foremost, ridiculous story we have to discuss. Y'all have seen it in the past few days, I'm sure some of you. I'll give you the CNN headline first. A group of furries stopped a domestic violence assault and helped police make the arrest. We are a furry podcast now. We can't escape squirrels or furries the last few episodes. I don't know what's happening, people. I can't explain these things to you. It's just the news that hits me. So, several members attending a furry convention, which is a thing. I guess I assumed that was a thing. You have to have a convention if you're in one of these, like, you know, weird silos of society or whatever. You don't dress up as a Care Bear and fuck other people and not have a convention to go to feel not so weird and alone. You need the other furries to make you feel welcome, right? The furry convention, it's in California, of course it is. And on Friday, I'm sure they're fucking everywhere. I don't mean to rip on California. I'm sure we got furries here in Austin. Holler at me if you're in the furry community. I'm not kidding. I want to interview a furry. Any furry. I don't care what state you're in. Just hit me. We'll leave it completely anonymous. But if you dress up in stuffed animal costumes and have sex with people, I need to know why. All right, let me get back to the story. 6 people witnessed an assault, okay? There's a convention going on. There's some man assaulting his girlfriend. Other furries, they jump in and they save this situation. It's the annual Further Confusion or FurCon in San Jose. FurCon. And it clarifies here on CNN. Furries are enthusiasts who celebrate characters and stories involving anthropomorphic animals and fictitious characters that have human traits. Yay. Me too. They said the man was assaulting a woman in a car, okay? There was a 26-year-old Robbie Ryans. He was working as a DJ at the convention. He and a friend went outside for a smoke break, and then out of nowhere, a blue car stopped in front of them. They heard a woman screaming from inside the car, a passenger throwing full fists at whoever was driving. They ran towards the car, and again, remember, they're in full costume. Like, you can see the pictures. Full costume. I mean, it's a group of people in full costume, furry costumes, beating the shit out of someone who was assaulting his girlfriend. That's the photos. Like, there's photos. Google it. A group of furries stopped a domestic violence assault and helped police make the arrest. Furry citizen's arrest is one notch above regular citizen's arrest. You commit a citizen's arrest, you're a fucking hero. What kind of a citizen arrests someone? If I had to make a citizen, no way. I'm not tackling a stranger. I don't have zip ties to put their hands behind their back. How do you even do that? If you're in a furry costume and you commit a citizen's arrest, you're a double hero, 2x. 2 times the hero. Going outside for a smoke break. Furries need smoke breaks too. And then you go stop an assault. Huge furry win. 4 other people who were attending the convention joined in and helped grab the man. They dragged him out of this car. They restrained him and they beat the shit out of him until the cops arrived. Furries don't fuck around. These are the heroes we need. Furries. Who knew? These people, furry as they may be, are out there helping the rest of the community. When the police arrived, they alleged the suspect, 22-year-old Dimitri Hardnett, assaulted his girlfriend in the car. He was arrested, booked into Santa Clara County Jail for domestic violence. And then this is great. CNN says, for those wondering, the furry fandom is a community of enthusiasts who celebrate characters and... Oh, I already read that. Fuck. That's just the most ridiculous description of a community. A community of enthusiasts who celebrate characters and stories involving anthropomorphic animals. So is this like, do they love Winnie the Pooh? Or is that not anthropomorphic? because he's a bear and he has a shirt on, but no pants. He loves honey. He talks. He's got friends and shit. Seems like Winnie the Pooh would be like the furry, the Soprano. Like I love the Sopranos. Furries love Winnie the Pooh. Presumably. If you're a furry, holler. I want to hear what else y'all like. Next insane headline. Boeing employees mocked FAA and clowns who designed 737 MAX. You may recall the company Boeing. You've heard of Boeing. They make all the airplanes we fly on, right? Well, they've had some issues with one of their planes, the 737 MAX, 2 of which have crashed, and lots of people died. People that were just trying to travel on an airplane, which is something we all do every fucking year, right? At least once. Most of us. I don't travel that much. But once or twice a year, I'm on a fucking airplane. Never liked it. Always had trouble with flying. I don't know. I enjoy it. It's just that I know I'm not supposed to be up there. We weren't meant to be up there. Look, you can take that argument a million ways. I'm not a big fan of heights. I don't like being 20,000 feet up in a fucking steel drum filled with other people's farts. That doesn't seem like a good idea. That being said, the last thing we need is like one of the biggest plane producers in the world, if not to be just cranking out planes that don't particularly work. You know, they don't maintain flight, which is what the idea is. You don't get, it's these planes they invented, you don't go from A to B. You just leave A, and then you die. There's no B. Now, the fucked up part of this is, during the course of this investigation of Boeing doing its own investigation, there's all kinds of, this is one of those nightmare situations where the company is too powerful, there's too much lobbying, nobody gets the punishment they deserve, and in digging into this, what we've found is it's much worse than you could have imagined. Boeing was being run like a fucking frat house. These fools are emailing each other and making jokes about this shit. Like, all right, so here, from the New York Times. Boeing employees mocked federal rules, talked about deceiving regulators, and joked about potential flaws in the 737 MAX as it was being developed. This is hundreds of pages of internal messages that they've gotten out of Boeing now, that Congress is currently going through, congressional investigators. Very bad shit. Here's a message from one of the employees in 2018, apparently in reference to interactions with the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. You know, the people in charge of making sure that we don't explode in planes in the sky. Quote, I still haven't been forgiven by God for the covering up I did last year. So these people were aware of the issues, is the thing. They were aware the 747 MAX was a joke. There were questions being asked by one employee to another. Would you put your family on a MAX simulator-trained aircraft? I wouldn't. Nope, the other colleague responded. In other sets of messages, employees questioned the design of the MAX. They even denigrated their own colleagues. Quote, this airplane is designed by clowns who are in turn supervised by monkeys. An employee wrote in exchange from 2017. That's not a good look. That's not a good look. This is, dude, can you imagine if one of your family members went on a trip, they just bought a ticket to go fly somewhere like we do all the time. People do it constantly. You don't think twice. Business, pleasure, vacation, whatever, seeing family. And they boarded that plane and the plane went down, and then you find out later, yeah, it turns out the people who built the plane didn't give a shit. They actually thought it was kind of funny. They were fucking around making jokes, sending emails, and had group texts going about how stupid the entire thing was. And your people died as a result. These guys are going to get their dicks sued off till the end of time. I want to file a lawsuit. I didn't lose anybody. This is insane. How does a company get to this point? If your company, if your product, if whatever it is that you fucking manufacture impacts other people's lives, puts them at risk, can take them away, take your shit serious. What is this? You can't hire people who fuck around about this stuff. Designed by clowns who are in turn supervised by monkeys? It's an airplane. What in the hell? Other notable quotes from the internal communications. This is ridiculous. One guy said, quote, I just Jedi mind tricked these fools. I should be given $1,000 every time I take one of these calls. I saved this company a sick amount of money. He was referencing a call with the FAA. where he basically, he said his joke that he Jedi mind tricked them was to get them to believe that the shit was safe. That was it. Another quote, I'll be shocked if the FAA passes this turd. Another quote, this is a joke. This airplane is ridiculous. Another quote, Jesus, it's doomed. By the way, they still put this in the sky. After these quotes. Another quote, best part is we are restarting this whole thing with the 777X with the same supplier and have signed up to an even more aggressive schedule. Oh, good. Oh, good. Sounds like they're going to get this all cleared out. There's still no indication of when this thing's going to be cleared to fly again. But the fact that they're even attempting to get it to a place where it can fly is a little more insulting as they keep discovering new flaws through the course of the investigation. So they're trying to figure out okay, what caused these planes to go down? And then they're finding other flaws that could cause other planes to go down. You see, this thing's been grounded for 10 months after those 2 deadly crashes. A software system developed for the plane was found to have played a role in both accidents. And since then, they've been working to fix the shit. But again, they keep finding more stuff. What the hell? What in the hell? I mean, the messages inside, the internal messages that were released between Boeing pilots, other employees, they're talking about the software issues, other problems with flight simulators. 346 people died. Company's been in chaos ever since. And these dudes are jacking around with the FAA. It's just unbelievable. So from Furries to one of the biggest, most obviously influential companies on the planet, not giving a single shit about any one of us. Weird day, week, month, 2020 so far for headlines. RBP 260 also brought to you by Keeps. If you're struggling with hair loss, if you've refused to take steps to help yourself, if you've tried nonsense remedies that didn't work, listen up, RBP gang. Keeps is here for you. I've had many good friends over the years, since high school, who have struggled with hair loss, since college too. Good friends that I care about deeply that are in the same boat as you. This is an incredibly common problem. 2 out of 3 guys experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. I'm 32 years old, so my people, it becomes more and more of an issue the higher up you climb. But even in high school, even in college, you want to get out in front of this shit. And I'm excited to provide you with the tools you need to combat hair loss early. The good news, with today's advancements in science, Keeps offers proven treatments that can combat the symptoms of hair loss and help you keep the hair you have at half the cost of your local pharmacy. You don't have to go broke to avoid going bald. Keeps offers generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products out there. Some of you may have tried them before, probably never for this price. Plus, Keeps now offers a prescription shampoo to help keep your scalp healthy too. They've revolutionized the way men are treated for hair loss. Thanks to Keeps, you no longer have to go to the doctor's office for your hair loss prescription, wasting all that time. It's frustrating. Your appointment was at 11. It's 12:30. You still haven't gotten in to see the doctor. What the fuck? How does a doctor's office work? You can visit a doctor online. Get your hair loss medication delivered to your home. No more waiting rooms. No more pharmacy checkout lines. Get doctor attention and discreet drug delivery, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. If you've noticed your hairline tripping on you a little bit, get after it. If you're ready to take action and prevent further or any hair loss, go to keeps.com/RBP to receive your first month of treatment free. That's KEEPS. Keeps. Just like it sounds, .com/RBP. Keeps.com/RBP to receive your first month of treatment for free. Next segment, RBP Impact Initiative updates. So again, I'm giving you all a little bit of these each episode we do until we have one final episode that is entirely going to focus on the RBP Impact Initiative. Let me explain what this is first and foremost for those of you who have not heard me speak to it so far. The RBP Impact Initiative is essentially a way for our listenership, for the RBP gang, for all of you out there, if you have been impacted by this show in a particularly special way, or if you know someone who has, you email in. Ross@rossbolenpodcast.com is my email. You tell us your story, share with the rest of us what that experience or what that impact was, and we're sharing some of the more impactful, #impact, messages that I receive with y'all. So this is not about me sucking my own balls, just to be clear. This is about trying to shine a light on how special this community is and how special this show is. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who question, or some people who question how genuine I am, like how much of this is just for the brand, if you will, or how much of it is just work to me. And I swear on my non-existent and preferably far-off own grave, like this is the realest shit I have ever done. I've always been real, if nothing else. This is about us, not about me. And I know it's cheesy, and I know it might seem silly to some of you, but this show truly is about making a difference above all else in people's lives. And the ways I'm going to share with y'all that it has impacted other people, I promise you, the show has not impacted anyone more than me. This has been my lifeline for multiple years now. And so while there are so many of y'all who share with me the way the show impacted you, I promise you, as I've said so many times, it goes both ways. And this is a very special place to me that I want as many people to be a part of as possible for the reasons you're about to hear. Okay? Because I do believe that it makes a difference. Is it immature and insane at times and maybe even stupid? Sure. But it brings people together. It makes them feel less alone. It breaks down the walls and stigmas of mental health and substance abuse and addiction and expressing emotions and suffering and silence and all that shit. And does it help me too? God, yes. I am one of you. There is no gimmick to this shit. By the way, I'm reading every single one of these that comes in, even if I don't respond. There's so many of y'all have shared unbelievable stories and ways you found the show, or that it was introduced to you, or how it affected some particular circumstance you went through, and it means the world to me. I'm reading every single one. I'm not responding to all of them. There's too many of y'all, but I picked a few to share with y'all today to give you sort of the idea of what we're looking for in terms of these stories. So, first one from somebody named Crunch. We're most of y'all asked for like anonymity with these because they're very personal, obviously. This dude just straight up said he didn't ask for anonymity. He just said, "I'm Crunch. Hey Ross, I don't really know where to start, but here it goes. Last 2 years at college, I joined a fraternity and loved it, but as time went on, I started partying and drinking too much," that sounds familiar, "and my grades started to slip, and I stopped caring about school. At least you cared about it at one point, dude. I never did. So to try and null that pain, I started to drink and party more and more, to the point where my grades were so bad I couldn't even reason why I should stay. I pulled out of school. I moved back home. I felt lost, had no idea what to do, which is when I started having terrible anxiety. And then I finally found your show. It helped me understand my anxiety. I started working out and doing yoga. It really helped with my anxiety, but as my anxiety got better, I started to get incredibly depressed. I felt like all the cardio and weightlifting I was doing wasn't making a difference, and it really affected my self-esteem to the point where I couldn't even talk to girls I found attractive. And I started to push away my friends. And I felt like I didn't deserve to be happy. My depression made it really hard to stay motivated to keep going to the gym, but I think your podcast kept me going. I've slowly started to get better and have started making really good progress at the gym, down about 15 pounds with about 10 pounds of added muscle. He said there's days where the depression still hits, but they're fewer and further between. All my college friends are about 3 hours away. Other than my brother, I don't have any friends at home, and listening to the pod really helped me with the crushing loneliness I was feeling. Listening to you talk about your problems gave me the confidence to talk to my brother and my friends about what I was dealing with. Eventually, I was even able to talk to my dad about my depression, and it felt like there was a huge weight off my chest, and I feel a lot closer to him now. I know this is a long email, but all I can say is thank you. I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't found the pod. Gang, 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 Crunch. Thank you, Crunch, so much for sharing your story. So this is one of the more common types of situation I hear. All right, so many people struggle in college, in high school, in transitionary periods, in that place in life where you're sort of like, you're leaving your nest, but you're not really, and you're just trying to figure out how the world works. And transitionary periods are brutal. That's when you can feel the most alone. It's so funny, man. Like, I've been in transition for, at least a year straight now. And as I've said so many times on Twitter and on the show, like, I don't want to say no one is less alone than me, but like, I am not alone, and I routinely feel completely and utterly alone because of my situation. It's not real, but it feels very real. And so, I feel that regularly still. You know what I'm saying? That's a normal problem to battle. And it's one of the reasons that that I love it so much. It helps with that. It helps me not feel alone. And to know I'm not alone. And this community is insane. You people are the greatest. On Twitter, on Discord, on Instagram, like, you are literally, if you are in it, or if you are in this, you are never alone. Ever. And I can't tell you how many of y'all have realized that. It makes me so fucking happy. From a female listener, we'll call her M-Dog. She said, I just wanted to drop a quick note on how your show has impacted me. I started listening to RBP way back when, like OG days, I think episode 8. At the time, I had just moved to Dallas for an internship. It was my last semester at college. I knew no one in the city except my boyfriend and his best friend. The internship was my first real job, and I basically got thrown into the deep end doing something I had zero knowledge about. My family was back in Central Texas. I was living in a shoebox apartment. All that to say, I was pretty lonely. Couple that with OCD and anxiety, and you have the perfect storm of emotions. Finding RBP was one of the best things that could have happened to me that semester. Literally a godsend. It genuinely felt like y'all were my friends, which is something I desperately needed at the time, but never thought I would say about people I had never met. Listening to you and Micah, and later AJ, Jared, and Mike, was a lot of times, still is, the best part of my day. Whether I need to laugh, want to learn some random trivia about squirrels or furries, I added that part, or just need to be reminded that I'm not alone. The pod always comes through. Even now, I'm a law student, which means I get stressed out about 99% of the time, but RBP is such a stress reliever. It gets me out of my head, gives me a little more perspective. Every now and then, we need to be reminded that there are things outside of school or work or your relationship or whatever it is you're focusing on. RBP does that in a way that's not stressful or overwhelming, but fun and entertaining. Now to get deep into the faith stuff, but you really, not to get deep into the faith stuff, but you really are out there doing God's work. Seeing the impact you've had on the success of your company has been awesome. Blah, 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 blah. Nice things, nice things, nice things. By the way, absolutely love having Jared and AJ around. Y'all are one of the funniest combinations and personalities that I've ever heard. Seeing, keep killing it. Can't wait for FAMF to be back. Same kind of deal, you know? Thank you, M-Dog, for the message. Listen, there's so many people who have mental health barriers to overcome that don't either, like, they just don't know, they're too embarrassed to talk to anybody about it, or they're too scared to understand it, or they don't even want to acknowledge it themselves. And I was there for a really long time, and it's the first and foremost reason this show exists, is that my anxiety and my panic attacks dictated my entire life for almost a full decade. And I don't want that to happen to other people. And I had resources and psychiatrists and therapists, and at one point a guy putting some kind of fucking sensors on my fingers and making me do breathing exercises to like whale noises. And it didn't work, by the way. And I still felt alone and didn't understand what I was going through. So I try to use this show as much as I can to help people with mental ailments get that, like, yeah, that's most of us. I don't know why there's stigma to this shit. More people need to talk about it. Here's one from a listener named Tanner. Perhaps my favorite RBP Impact Initiative email so far. Okay? Tanner, here's his message. I used to smoke a lot of meth. ... Probably 3 space bars. Then I started listening to your podcast. Period. Thanks, Tanner. That's the message. Tanner used to... How much meth were you ripping, dude? I'm stoked for you, though. Fuck yeah. Thanks for the detailed email. Here's one from a listener we'll call D-Dog. I am not good at coming up with these nicknames, apparently. Yo, my name is D-Dog from San Diego, and I've been a gang member for about a year or so now. That will never get old. Do you know how many watch lists I'm on? There are people in the NSA who think we have some kind of terrorist organization going here. Others who think we're a gang, organized crime. I've probably got at least 2 FBI agents tapping my phones. Shouts to, I always say this, and it started as a joke like a year ago. Shouts to my NSA agent. But I know you're out there, dude. Like, it's not a joke anymore. Holler, like, can I get a Christmas card? I know you watch all my shit. I know you know what kind of porn I like. Send me some with the card. With the Christmas card. Back to D-Dog. D-Dog from San Diego. Oh, my God. Sorry, let me collect myself here. He said, I first heard about you as a funny frat guy thing and the whole TFM movement. And I thought, quote, here comes another Barstool type deal, end quote. It wasn't that's not an insult, by the way. I get that some of y'all think it is, but just trust me when I say Barstool knows exactly what they're doing. They're offensive on purpose, and they piss you off on purpose, and they talk shit on purpose, and they know exactly what they're doing. I'm just going to leave it at that. I have a lot of respect for those dudes and what they do. Oh, by the way, I got a mentor now. It's Dan Katz. That's not a joke. Seriously. Look it up. All right, sorry, back to this dude's message. It wasn't until I came across a video you made about, quote, what to do while having a panic attack that I actually started listening to your pod, and I haven't looked back since. I mean, from stuff to Wikipedia when you're high to even Shoe of the Week. I don't even know if that's what it's called. It's definitely not. I've related to content you've talked about. With all that said, the biggest takeaway is that you made having anxiety and panic attacks relatable and easier to deal with. Before, I never really knew who or how to talk about it. I felt like no one really understood what I was talking about, and hearing a voice I can relate to really brought light to a situation that seemed like there was none. So whether or not this is too late to share on the pod, or even if you don't see it, I just want to say thanks. You've done a lot for people and you're appreciated. P.S. Don't ever stop saying gang, 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 because we always about that gang shit. All right, I've given up on trying to kill that. Gang, gang. One more from a female listener we'll call B-Baby. I hate myself. Hey, Ross, my name's B-Baby. I'm from New York. I'm stoked you're taking the time to share stories from fellow gang members about how the show impacted their lives. Even if you don't share my story, I'm glad I have the opportunity to say thank you for everything the show has done for me, especially in the last year. I moved to Rhode Island in 2017 with my boyfriend at the time. This was also about the same time I started listening to OCC and eventually RBP. Several months after moving there, I was accepted into a master's program for counseling. My schedule was crazy. My time was devoted to classes, working full-time, balancing the internship requirements of the program. On top of that, I felt very much alone. My relationship with my ex was unhealthy. He struggled to understand my own mental health issues. I've suffered from panic attacks and depression my entire life, and it was hard to be isolated from my support systems in a rough relationship and trying to get my career going. Feel ya. Likewise, it was hard to make friends because I didn't have a lot of free time, and feeling anxious is often a barrier to stepping out of my comfort zone. Feel ya. Although I received my master's in counseling, ironically, my own mental health took a hard hit during the time I was an RI. Feel ya. I'm supposed to be an expert on this shit. There are still days when I can't move. Anyway, continuing. The pod became a big part of my self-care routine. There were some stressful and really shitty days where I listened to RBP and felt 10 times better because you guys had me laughing hysterically. Jared, I appreciate you, she said in parentheses. There were other days I cried because your conversations about mental health struck a chord. I took comfort knowing you and listeners, so fucking important right there. You and listeners had similar experiences, and I'm not alone. My point there before I finish her message is this. That's the feed, right? That's the deal. I came with the show and shared some stuff about me, but it didn't work unless y'all did the same back. So for all the people who sent in segment suggestions, who sent me emails, who sent me full-blown segments that I didn't even have to fucking do anything except read, y'all are the reason this show exists, and y'all are the reason this community exists, and that the support system is so strong, and that all these emails from people you're hearing from, those aren't there without y'all. That's why I mean it's like it's about us, and this is not me. It's you guys. We have made this together. It is stupid sounding, but it's very real. I don't know how to explain it, but when you read enough of these like I have, you understand it. I like to take away like the more and more the last couple of years. I try not to think about things from my perspective, right, or about me. It's about community, whether that's neighborhood, family, your friends, your immediate family, your extended family, whatever. Like, you have to find, I hate the fucking phrase, like your tribe or whatever. That's what a lot of people say. That's been beaten to death. But like, and then you ride for those people and with those people, and they ride for you, and that's life. And that's what this is for me. To continue. Blah, 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 blah. Where was I? My ex and I obviously broke up, lived together for a couple of months. Terrible idea. 10 out of 10 do not recommend. Well, no shit. I moved out. No offense. He ended up with our dog, etc. Brutal. I was not okay, and listening to RBP kept me grounded and lifted me out of a bad space. I know I don't know you, but I know you're a good person. No, you don't. And you inspire me to be a better person. I have so much respect for you. Much love to the gang, and I'm sorry I still need to pay my fucking dues. I'll get it done next month. Gang, gang, gang. Much love. B-Baby. Also, I don't know how it could happen, but I kind of wish there was a way for members of the RBP community who are doing Dry January to create like a support chat thread. I don't know. Or maybe that's something already happening on Patreon or Twitch or something. Listen. Now this is me talking. That was the end of her email. Listen. Discord. It's called Discord. It was made for gamers, and it's not. Well, it is, but it's like Slack or AIM or any other thing, except we've got a Discord just for the RBP gang, and it's like 600 people deep at this point, and there is legitimately entire fucking threads on there that are just for this type of thing. It is probably the most focused version of the community we've been shining a light on this last several minutes that you're going to find. Discord. There's no link I can... It's not like discord.com/RBP. There's no link. It's like a bunch of numbers and letters and shit, and it's a different link every time you ask for one to share. So I'm going to have to tweet it and Instagram it and pay attention. It goes out on social media relatively regularly. Get in our Discord. All right, we got one more email, but first I got to do a read. Brand new sponsor. I love gold. RBP 260 is also brought to you by Acre Gold. Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Badass company that lets you subscribe to gold bars. Which sounds crazy, I know, but it's cool because they're gold bars. And you don't have to come out of pocket all at once for gold bars. And having gold bars is fucking tight. On some Three Kings shit. We Three Kings be still in the gold. Instead of coming out of pocket all at once, you subscribe for $30 or $50 a month, and Acre will send you a 2.5 gram gold bar every few months. I'm trying to get gold in the mail. You see commercials and read stuff about crap-ass companies with no real brand behind them to connect with. Buying gold today is like visiting a state fair drunk and hoping to find a lottery ticket. When Acre hit us up, I actually checked out some of these other precious metal sites and was so fucking confused by all the options and how there's like 12 billion SKUs, which, by the way, means stock keeping unit. Learn something new every day. But I love Acre because it's like forced savings. You do the $30 or the $50 a month plan, and gold just shows up to your house. And gold is baller. It's Acre branded and manufactured in frickin' Switzerland. Like a goddamn James Bond movie in your mailbox, son. What are you waiting for? You can get gold delivered directly to your doorstep. GetAcreGold.com/Ross. That's GetAcreGold.com/Ross. And Acre is giving away a gold bar. You can win this gold bar by tweeting at @get_Acre and me at WR Bolen. Tell us why you deserve to be our winner. GetAcreGold.com/Ross. Fire those tweets off. Tag at @get_Acre, ACRE, and at WR Bolen. Tag us both. Tell us you want a gold bar. Just say, I love gold. All right, RBP Impact Initiative continued. This is the final one for today, all right? My name is Imami. Oh, my God, what's wrong with me? And I go to school in Vermont. I've been listening to RBP since June and have been a Patreon member for a month. The past few years have been a kind of weird and chaotic combo for me. Throughout high school, I had a series of really bad mental health issues. After 4 of my family members died from cancer in 2 years, I kind of spiraled. Can't blame you. I ended up being hospitalized for anorexia and jumped around 5 mental health programs within 3 years to treat anxiety, depression, cutting, an eating disorder, excessive alcohol use, and 1 suicide attempt. The last 2 programs were a little more intense than everything else. One was something called wilderness therapy, where your parents pay 2 transporters to goon you. They wake you up in the middle of the night when your parents aren't home and force you to come with them into the middle of nowhere. For me, that nowhere was Vermont in the winter, where the program tries to force you out of your shitty situation by completely stripping you of everything, clothes, phone, watch, etc., and making you backpack, as in hiking through the wilderness with a random group of people that are in the same situation as you. This one was the fun program. The other one was something like what Earl Sweatshirt went to. Oh, shit. That one wasn't as interesting to talk about, so let's just say it was pretty traumatizing. Earl Sweatshirt was shipped off to, like, Uganda or something. It was like the version that's like, you're such a fuck up, we can't even send you somewhere here in America. You're gone. Remember that? It was like years before we got Tyler, the Creator, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about right now, I can't even imagine how confusing this must be. There was a rapper, too long didn't read version. Tyler, the Creator, very famous rapper. Now, when he first broke out, people were like, damn, this dude's cool. He has this whole squad. The squad was called Odd Future. Another member of that squad was Earl Sweatshirt, who was like this mysterious rapper who only had a few bars here and there that allegedly had been shipped off to Uganda by his mother for like some kind of like rehabilitation situation. Not for drugs, but for like, behavior in life or whatever. Anyway, crazy. College came around, and so far it's pretty cool. I'm continuing her message. I'm a junior. By the way, crazy to hear from as many females as we have. I don't know if women are just more likely to share their experiences. I believe that's probably the case. Part of what we're trying to change here. Dudes, don't be scared to talk about your shit. I think it was like episode 3. I think I opened with this segment, and in hindsight, I really wish I hadn't done this. It was a weird way to start the podcast, but about like it should be okay you should be able to cry without feeling bad about it or whatever. It was a weird subject for me to broach in like the first 5 episodes of the pod, but one that I can't stand by enough today. That dudes, for whatever reason, y'all motherfuckers are just not cool with like talking about stuff or getting it's one of the reasons I end up identifying with women a lot more. And it's easier for me to get close to women because women are more emotional and more prone to opening up about stuff. And not so afraid to talk about their feelings and shit. And dudes, for whatever reason, for generations and generations, we've been bred and trained to think that that's like pussy shit you can't do. And that's fine if you want to roll that way, but you're going to be miserable your entire life. And you're going to snap at some point. You can't just bottle up all your shit forever. Doesn't work that way. Anyway, back to our message. Where was I? College came about, blah, blah, blah. Over the past couple years, I didn't mean to blah, blah, blah you. I'm sorry. Over the past couple years I've been here, though, most of my friends have either graduated or transferred out of the school. I've been feeling pretty lonely up here while most of my other friends go to school or move back to NYC. The more time that goes on, the harder it is to kind of push myself to go to class, and easier it is to smoke weed all day and succumb to the depressive thoughts that tend to take over during the winter when everything is shitty and cold. I have identified with like 3 sentences in my life more than that one. That was a spot-on description of me every single fucking winter. It's ridiculous. Your podcast, though, back to her message, always brings me a smile. It got me through my bleak internship during the summer, some super long car rides, multiple panic attacks. Whenever I'm in a bad space, I turn it on to cheer me up. Whenever I'm in a good space, I turn it on because why not? I don't know, your podcast is kind of something that keeps me going. You have helped me realize that I can just smoke instead of drink because it is so much better. Parentheses, obviously doing nothing is cool too. End parentheses, you have made me feel like I have someone to listen to when I think there is no one I can turn to, and your podcast is fucking hilarious. Always makes me laugh, basically every episode, basically. I really appreciate the pod, and in terms of impact, you have helped me more than anything else in a while, so thank you. Best, Imami. Yeah, no, that's the ticket. That's where I'm at too, man. That's every winter, and you just gotta fight. That's, I mean, I don't think I have to say anything else. Y'all get the gist of it. Keep the RBP Impact Initiative emails coming. Ross@rossbolenpodcast.com is my email. Continue to share this show with your people. Whether you know somebody who you know is going through a hard time, we all fucking do, by the way. Send the show to that person. If I was me right now, but not me, I would want somebody to send me this show. For real. And I don't know how else to put it. Like, if you know somebody who's going through some shit, that's a big part of the reason this show exists. To try to help people who are. Send them the show. Share the show. Keep your stories coming. We're going to do a couple more segments with some examples, like in the next few couple episodes or whatever, just the way we did today with these RBP Impact Initiative emails. But then we're going to do an entire episode just focused on the Impact Initiative. Maybe it'll be, it's like January 23rd. We're already at the end of January. Somewhere in February, probably, if we're being real. To kind of cap this whole thing off. I want as many of you as possible to have the opportunity to email in. I know some of y'all are very far behind on the show. Some of you don't get to the episodes for months. Some of you for a couple weeks. Just trying to give you the opportunity. I'll do some social media call-outs as well to make sure everybody has the chance. But Ross@rossbolenpodcast.com. Keep your stories coming. Keep the emails coming. By the way, if you've emailed in an incredible story or something that you believe to be incredible or very just wild and it hasn't been read or shared, that's likely because I saved it. For some of the more intense, moving, and emotional ones, I've got them in a folder to use for that very episode we just spoke to, the one that entirely focuses on the RBP Impact Initiative. So I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing. I have not dismissed your email. I have read every single one of y'all's that you've sent in so far. Thank you so much for sharing some of the more intimate, personal details of your lives with me. As I said It goes both ways, and this is a perfect example of a time where, frankly, I'm struggling too, and hearing from all of you has kept me going each and every day, just like so many of you claim it does for you. So when I say two-way street, I fucking mean it. RBP Impact Initiative, keep them coming. Ross at rossbolenpodcast.com. Some announcements and a conclusion before you head out to take on the world. First, you have 2 legal obligations that you've been saddled with as a result of having listened to this entire podcast, whether you realize it or not, and I don't apologize for that. Number 1, you must rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts specifically. If you listen on Spotify or watch on YouTube or listen on SoundCloud, that's phenomenal, and I appreciate you. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Do it. You have Apple Podcasts because you have fucking iTunes or Apple Music or whatever you want to call the 15 different branded versions of their shit at this point. 5 stars, 2 or 3 sentences about why you love the show, why you believe the show should be listened to by other people. Help us continue to grow on Apple Podcasts. It's still the biggest podcast platform where the reviews and the ratings count the most. Hit us 5 stars, 2 or 3 sentences about the show, why you like it. Boom. You've completed your first legal obligation. You can check that box and move on to your second and final legal obligation, which is to share this show with one person, one friend, one family member, neighbor, coworker, any one individual you can think of this week, this weekend, this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that you think would enjoy RBP or that would benefit from this show, that would perhaps become a future RBP Impact Initiative emailer. Share it with them. One person this week, one person next week, one person every week until the week you die. You keep sharing the show, keep growing the gang. Keep the movement rolling in the right direction. Those are your 2 legal obligations. If you complete both of them, you and I will be up to speed. I can call off the dogs. My lawyers don't have to keep hounding you. We don't have to see each other in court. We save all this time and money. Huge win-win. Rate and review. Share the show. Follow us on Instagram at The Ross Bolen Podcast, on Twitter at Ross Bolen Pod. We're also on Facebook. If you're the middle-aged aunt of one of our listeners, you can follow me, Ross Bolen, on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at WRBolen, at WRBOLEN. Also check out Bolen Media's television and film podcast, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, available wherever RBP is available. Also on youtube.com/Bolen Media with full video of RBP episodes. You'll see OCC episodes soon. You will also see Freeze All Motor Functions episodes, which is our Westworld podcast, coming back for season 3, actually the first episode of which dropped today. Freeze All Motor Functions returned today, Thursday, January 23rd. Freeze All Motor Functions, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, the Ross Bolen Podcast, all the same places. Subscribe, rate, review to all of them. Enjoy. That will do it for RBP 260, recorded and produced by Mike Moody and Grant Davis at Permanent Record Studios in Austin, Texas. We will be back soon for episode 261, RBP 261 coming soon. Podman gets paid. Respect Mr. Park. Strength and honor. Gang, gang, gang. Peace be with you and also with you.